You got the coffee? Hey, it's Brain Muffin back with another beer review you can use. And up today is at a local in Cincinnati, Mount Carmel Coffee Brown Ale. So this is a brown ale with coffee added, obviously. So it's a coffee brown ale. It's a unique variation of a brown ale, which is going to be nice and malty and rich and have some chocolate and toasted notes, malt notes, of sweet maple and explosive coffee. Awesome. I probably should have read that after I tasted it. And I'm missing my phone is AFK, but that's all right. I'll check in afterwards. So here we go. Coffee brown from Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel Brewing is in Mount Carmel, Ohio, just outside of Cincinnati. Imagine that. And for those who live outside, Carmel, there's not an A missing. It's not caramel. It is caramel. Oh, wow. There's almost a spiciness to that. Almost like there's cinnamon in it or something. Definitely smell the coffee. That's quite interesting. Because on the nose, there's this big explosion of aromas. But taste-wise, it's kind of mild. Kind of sloshing it around a while. That is very interesting because I've made a coffee ales before and they were quite coffee, that was there. But yeah, there's almost like this heat, but not. And it might be from the type of coffee they're using. I would really like to know if they're using cold press or how they're getting it out. Because the coffee, you have the coffee on the nose and you can definitely taste it mid-mouth. But the coffee flavor lingers, the vapors, if you will, the aroma lingers in your mouth, almost like you drank coffee and then you kind of have that coffee breath. That's what I get from this. So when I belch there, it's got nice coffee tones, but while you're drinking it, it's not overpowering. It's not like, I'm a coffee brown. It's just kind of there, just kind of like a mellow cup of coffee. Not very sweet, not bitter at all. Very nice blend of flavors. And there's a little bit of malt hints. But unlike a lot of coffee stouts, it's not just bam, right, knocks you in the teeth. But I like the way it lingers and kind of floats around in your mouth after you've drank it. So that's very interesting, very interesting. So I would give this definitely a solid 4. It's really good. It has a nice balance. There's a few tweaks. The malt backbone is a little buried mid-mouth, and so that's why I said it's not really sweet, but it's not bitter. So it could be the combination of the malt sweetness and the coffee bitterness are really. So maybe I ought to think maybe 4.25. Maybe that's a bit more generous. I've had some other coffee browns that are a little bit better, but this has got a nice mellowness to it. As far as food pairings, being in a brown ale, it's typically malty. You're going to have some really flavorful foods. So this I would have really anything that you, if you're a coffee drinker, anything that you would have a cup of coffee with, whatever food, whether it's dessert, whether it's like breakfast, eggs and bacon, or a cheeseburger, I would definitely try pairing with this beer because you get that coffee on the nose and you get a coffee mid-mouth, but you don't get a lot. But you definitely have that coffee lingering, that coffee flavor. So because it's so balanced and smooth mid-mouth, it's going to clean off your tongue pretty well. So I would really, anything you would have a cup of coffee, especially if you don't like your coffee with lots of sugar and lots of milk. Maybe just almost black with a little bit of cream or a little bit of sugar, just kind of mellow it out. Especially a good cup of coffee, not a real instant, real bitter, horrible cup. Because like I said, I don't know what coffee beans they use. It smells like a medium roast to me. I don't know coffee that well. I have studied it some for when I was doing it in my beers. But it's just like a nice, mellow, just kind of there, cup of coffee. You could definitely, because it's not sweet, you could definitely do breakfast with this, with bacon pancakes and gravy. If you're from the South, biscuits and gravy, but pancakes and maple syrup, especially real maple syrup. This would definitely be a nice combination. You could definitely do cheeseburger, bacon cheeseburgers. It's kind of the hearty food, just kind of the diner foods, if you will, which is very interesting because that's kind of the picture on here is kind of reminiscent of a diner sign. So I would definitely do diner style foods, scrambled eggs and sausage, waffles, all that kind of stuff, as well as your greasy cheeseburgers and grilled cheese type stuff. You could even do it as a dessert beer, as a kind of a drink with dessert instead of coffee. Now, obviously, there's not much coffee. I doubt there's any real caffeine or anything from the coffee, but maybe there is some. Usually in the coffee beans, you don't really get that caffeine out of them with the alcohol. The alcohol content doesn't seem very high, so it probably doesn't have a huge extract. So that's pretty nice. But yeah, I would just basically anything you would have a cup of coffee with, especially if you're not, I'm not talking lattes and craziness like that, but just a regular cup of coffee. I think this would go well with it. So there you go. 4.25 is what I'll check into Untapped. Have you tried this? Especially if you're local. I know they ship a little bit more outside of Cincinnati. So I don't know how, it's part of their Snapshot series, so I don't really know how much available it is outside of Cincinnati. But if you had this, like to have it, wonder about it, how it compared to other ones, leave comments below. Thanks for clicking like, thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Go lay down. Jeez. Get the ball, Tobit. I didn't need to do that part again. Hey, it's Brian Lake back with another